So this is the story about this 46 Chevy pickup truck. My dad bought it for me to drive to high school. I think it was in 1972, so I was about 14 years old. So we've had it over 50 years. But anyway, he says, I'm going to bring you home something to drive when you get your driver's license. Okay, that's fine with me. So this is what he had. He brought it home on the back of a truck, a trailer that you hauled bulldozers on. And this is what it was. Of course, it didn't look like this, but he bought it in Paris, Tennessee. Brought it home, and he took it and started having people paint it. We took the bumpers off, had those chromed. The grill was in pretty bad shape, but at the time you could buy stuff from J.C. Whitney. So I sourced a grill from J.C. Whitney, and we put that in. Now that's not the one I got from J.C. Whitney though. But that's about all that we bought for it at the time, other than we took the hubcaps off my mother's 72 Nova that they had bought new. I pulled those hubcaps off and put on this truck. So this is what I drove to high school. And when I turned 16, I wanted music. This was before cassettes, all that, and I didn't have radios. I don't know why I didn't buy a radio and put in it, but this is a 6-volt system, so I had to buy a 6 to 12 volt converter. So I bought that and put in a 8-track tape player in it. So I had an 8-track tape player in it with some speakers, maybe one speaker. And the first 8-track tape I ever bought was Hank Williams. So that's what I drove to high school. See the inside? It's all basically original. It is all original except for the work he's done to it, the paint, all that. But interesting story. I drove it to high school for a couple of years, and on the way to school one fall morning or winter morning, we had some rain overnight. Not much, but a little bit, and it turned colder right before dawn. And I had a route that I always took my sister and brother to elementary school. I was going to high school, so there was a steep hill that I would go in, going to the backside of the elementary school. Well, as I topped that hill, which is too late by the time I topped it, started down, I noticed, oh, it's a solid sheet of ice, and there's already a car off the road, the back end sticking out in the road, already off in the ditch. I couldn't stop, and I was saying to myself, don't hit the brakes, gear it down. Well, it started sliding anyway. I couldn't help but hit the brakes, but it didn't matter. I held it in the road. I stayed in the road. But that car was sticking out in the road, so I hit it. So I hit this side, tore this fender up, tore the sideboard up, running board. And so we parked it in that garage. And my brother started disassembling it, and it sat there in that garage for 25 plus years, torn up. And I finally taught my dad, who is 90 years old now, to start, why don't you work on it? So he started working on it again, and he did all the body work, fixing it, and some more stuff. And we bought another grill, or he bought another grill and put in it, and he had it painted, but he did all the body work. Now it's not perfect, but it looks pretty good. We're in North Carolina, and you notice the University of Tennessee in the back. I had that and originally, because I was a Tennessee, still am a Tennessee fan. So I had to source another sticker, which wasn't hard to do, put in it, because he took that window out when he was fixing it, the rear window, and put it back in the other way. So the University of Tennessee was facing inside, and so it didn't read right. So I had to pull it off, get another sticker and put in it. But as you can see, a new bed in the back. It's starting to get aged now because it's probably been 20 years. He put lights on it. I don't think they come with lights back then. They didn't have turn signals. You can see the inside here. He painted the interior, new seat cover, new headliner. The dash, you got all the stuff that an old truck had back in the day, but I don't think the speedometer ever worked. I think the fuel gauge worked, but it doesn't now. Need to get that replaced. But after it sat for several years, the gas tank got corroded up, gummed up, the carburetor. So I decided to go and drive it again. I cleaned the carburetor, got it running, put a battery on it, and it did okay, but it never did run like it used to. So the last time, a couple years ago, I decided to get it out again, and we let the thing set too long, and I cleaned the carburetor again, flushed the tank out, and son of a gun, if it runs better now than it ever did. So let's fire this thing up. Of course, notice it's got that's the starter button, starter switch. Nothing up here. That just turns on the power. So you gotta push your foot down on the on that. That's the starter button to start it. See how quick that starts. That's the way it always sounded. That sounded different. It's got vacuum wipers. They don't work all that well anymore. Even that's even got the rubber strips out of it. I need to replace it. But you can hear it sounds good. Runs like a little sewing machine. Idles good. Doesn't die. Doesn't overheat. Here's the engine. One thing we've done, I did, is replace the radiator. It'd gotten so bad after 60, 70 years that it just wasn't fixing. So I put a new radiator on it. But other than that, that's basically what they look like from the beginning, when they were new. See the starter down there. When you push your foot down on that pedal inside, it just pushes this lever against this, and that's what makes the starter operate. And these don't have an air filter. They've got an air filter, but it's oil bath, so there's no air paper filter in it. So you listen to it run. It sounds good for a little old truck. Sit there and idle. But that's the story